I want to say this right now. Frank Sinatra Jr., who was to have been my co-host this week, will be here later in the week. He has a personal problem. He will not be here today. But sitting in for him, ladies and gentlemen, is a dear friend of mine and the world's greatest entertainer. And he's that kind of a person. The minute he heard we had a problem that Frank couldn't be here, he said, I'll be there. So here's the fabulous Sammy Davis Jr. The pause that refreshes.
That's it.
How are you?
Pretty good, right?
Thank you for doing the 2 days for me. I heard it was just great.
We had a lot of giggles. It got a little kind of scary the first day, you know.
Why?
You're not here, that's why. But the guys were beautiful, everything.
Aren't they great?
They couldn't. You're the luckiest man in the world, man.
Yeah, I got a
to
great
have such a great staff and the band. Everybody helped.
Somebody said, this is very funny, somebody said that Rod Steiger, who came in to surprise Sidney Poitier, you didn't know about that. Yeah. They kept that from him. Picked up your coat because he was thirsty and took it anyway.
Sidney did the take, though, because Sidney really occasionally has a glass of wine before dinner or something. He's not a drinking guy, though. And he took a swig of it, and he couldn't get over it. You know, it took him like an hour to get over it.
You know, I know that you mentioned last week before I left about how Frank Sinatra had helped you and your dad and your uncle,
yes,
Will, when you were together, and gave you a chance, every chance he could. But we didn't talk about the other people who helped along the way. There were some real turning points in your career. May we talk about them, Sam?
Of course. Yes. They were...
Eddie Cantor was a big help to you, wasn't he?
Well, Eddie Cantor was a tremendous help because he gave me sort of the credo that I live by, you know. I remember saying to Mr. Cantor, and I call him that, you know. I called him that because he deserved that kind of respect. I remember saying to him before I did the first Colgate Comedy Hour, I said, I'm scared, I'm nervous. He said, I wouldn't give 2 cents for a performer that wasn't nervous before every show. He says, when you stop getting that itch to go on, to entertain, he says, then you might as well get out of the business.
The edge is gone.
The edge is gone. You got to be nervous.
Are you still nervous before performances, Sam?
You want to feel my hand?
That's the truth. You are.
Always. No matter what happens, because it's anytime you're out there, what gives us the right, no matter how popular we may think we are, right? What gives us the right to say, well, there's 20 million people watching, and I'm going to please them all. Now, when you think of that thought, that's enough to make you turn white. But I ain't going to do it and blow my career, baby. No, but it's a frightening thought. And Cantor was also a very generous man. I remember the first Colgate Comedy Hour we had, he had seen me and decided that he wanted me on the show. And 2 things happened on that first Colgate show, which was live in those days. One was he cut his number on the air. He had like a medley of songs so that I could have more time, so I could do another number, which they had cut instantaneously on the air. They went, forget it, you can't do it. And Cantor ran out on applause, and he said, ladies and gentlemen, I was supposed to do a medley here, but I'll be back next week to do it for you. But this young man, I want you to see him. He said, Sam, do the number that you rehearsed. And my dad and I got a chance, and my uncle got a chance to do the number. But it was kind of a wild, you know, to see a man that big step back and let a cat be shown, you know. And the other thing that happened was kind of controversial was the fact that he ran out and mopped my brow because I was perspiring. And the next day, because he hired me again on that show, he hired me for the next show, see, next Sunday. And I came in Monday for rehearsal in the afternoon, and he had a box of telegrams and letters saying, how dare you wipe his brow? You know, the hate mail had come in.
Oh,
you know?
sure.
And it was unbelievable that the reaction had been so instantaneous.
You're talking about Cantor. Did you ever meet Jolson?
No, I saw him in the wings.
Somebody said, I heard that story. You were in the wings at a benefit.
Yeah.
And the little man came in with a polo coat.
With the polo coat, I'll never forget it. Really, it was kind of funny. Shrine Auditorium in Los Angeles. And we were one of the acts that they paid on benefits. They had all of the big stars, but they'd always have a couple of standby acts in case one of the stars didn't show up.
Yeah.
So we were standby acts. I'm just sitting there watching all the big stars come in. Boy, I know who that is. Yeah. You know. And suddenly, in walked this little man with the polo coat, the turtleneck sweater, and he's turned to the stage manager and he said, tell him Jolie's ready. Like we wasn't talking about himself. He was talking about another man, a third person. And he went on, and that's the one that they depicted in the Jolson story. You know, when he does the benefit and everybody starts to stand up and cheer, that must be the one, because that's exactly what happened. With a piano player in the Shrine Auditorium that seats 7,500 people, he just went on and just started to sing, and they wouldn't let him off. I'd never seen anything like that. And all the performers, even the ones that didn't like him who were appearing that night, who would all have bad things to say about Jolson as a human being.
But he was electric.
He was electric. They stood in the wings.
You're electric.
Oh,
No, you really are. I watch. You know how I judge what's happening on this show while we're on the air? I look at faces, and I love to look at faces anyway. I look at faces in the audience, and if they're going to one another, that we're in trouble. But if they're like, when they're like that, then we are making it, because these are people, and those are the same people that are at home.
That's a nice thing.
I wanted to get back, if I may, to the Eddie Cantor thing and the hate mail. What did he do about that, or what did he say?
He was a very, very level type of man, you see. He has said one of those choice words that we can't say on television. And he said, don't let it bother you. He said, because you're going to have to face those kind of people. He said, but remember, for every one of these telegrams and letters, there's 1 million people who may have seen you and will love you. He said, just work. He said, forget about those people. They're not important. And the next, I did 3 shows in a row with him. And they were just really just to learn from him, because I used to go to rehearsal every day, whether I had to rehearse or not, and just watch him. But I did the same kind of thing used to happen with me. I remember working with the band during the band period. Why I never worked with Kay Kaiser, I'll never know. But we worked with most of the bands. And I used to watch Ellington the same way. Because to me, Duke Ellington had all the dignity, the class that any man could possibly want to have when he walks on stage or off, but particularly on stage. A man represents an aura of class, dignity, man. And he looks 10 feet tall.
Yeah.
The fun of being with a guy like with Ellington, the real sort of down-home, nitty-gritty fun of being with Basie. You know, because Count, no matter how big and what a legend he is in his own time, could not be anything but just one of the side cats, you know, which is beautiful.
He's a beautiful man, Bill. How about Mickey Rooney? Was he helpful to you?
Well, there's nothing I can say about Mickey except that everything that I am, really, people think I copy Frank Sinatra. I admire Frank tremendously, as we talked about. But the man I tried to pattern my life after was Mickey Rooney, in terms of the professional life. Because he's an all-round man. He sings, he dances, he acts, he plays instruments. When I was a kid, I collected a scrapbook of Mickey, you know, all the things. Because I thought and I still think, pound for pound, he's like the Ray Robinson of show business.
What a talent.
Nobody can outdo this cat.
What a talent.
You know, he's unbelievable, really. And he helped me tremendously. Took me under his wing like this. He was the first person to put my name up. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the first guy to put my name up on the marquee in Chicago.
That's a thrill, isn't it, when you look up and see...
I was just thinking about it.
I used to tell, when I was that high, I'd tell my mother, she'd take me to the Chicago Theater, I'd say, someday I want to have my name up there, you know. And then when I finally got it up there and was playing the Chicago Theater, I was ready to go on, and Danny Kaye walked backstage, and the orchestra leader, who was Lou Breeze, went like this, called him out just before my announcement, and Danny Kaye did one chorus of Ball in the Jack and walked off. I've hated him ever since. Because when they announced me, here he is, a singing star, and the Kaye Kaiser, the people are going, no, but Danny Kaye, and you know, I've never had to follow anything like that.
That's a rough thing.
He destroyed the whole theater.
I followed, one time I had to follow, speaking of following acts, I followed Martin and Lewis one time. At their peak, right?
And that was an act.
And here they are, and it was one of these, the MC gave, and now here's the Will Madison Trio. Because what are you going to do? You know, Dean and Jerry were destroying people. You know, they were really at their peak.
You know, I can't help but notice that almost all the men you talked about have had down times in their careers. Have you noticed that in the career in the careers of the biggest stars, do you find them to be the most human, Sandy?
I do. Because how else can you appreciate what you've got, Mike? This is what's so kind of nice when a guy will walk up to you, regardless of race, color, or whatever it is. A guy walks up and says, hey, you know something, you're a regular guy. You know, and you feel like saying, well, gee, this is because we have a few idiots who walk around with an ego problem. Yeah. You know, the rest of us, those who have suffered anything, know that I ain't no better than you, and you ain't no better than me, and we're all, when the man upstairs goes like this, psst, psst, come up here. We gonna have to go. That's it.
Really?
That's it.
You can't say just hold it a minute?
No, he said the show wants you. Come on up, baby.
Have you ever had a point in your career where you found you were having maybe a little ego thing going on?
Oh. I invented it.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. Because it's hard, man. You can't jump from $350 a week for 3 people to $7,500 for the same trio, the same act, without you going, yeah. The shoulder's getting a little broader, you know. I give one of these numbers. But I think, and you start to read the reviews, and you give it one of these, and the review says, one of the most exciting personalities that come along. You start shaking your head like this. You know, you're right. Really, it's frightening. How can you live with that? And I always wanted, being on relief all my life, see, and working in tank towns, I always wanted to go into a store. My one bug was, let me once go into a store and say to the guy, give me that, and never ask the price. Because I used to have a thing in the old days where cat would go in the store, see, and the guy would say, can I have those shoes in the window that you got over there? The guy says, you know how much them shoes is?
Yeah.
I didn't ask you how much they was. I said, give them to me. The guy said, well, I just want to let you know in case you ain't got enough money in your pocket.
I got to tell you one cute thing about Bob Newhart. Bob Newhart, I've never forgotten this. He said when he made it, he used to walk up and down the streets in Chicago, and he'd walk by the Cadillac agency, and he'd say, I can buy that. And then walk to the next window, it'd be like a jewelry window. He'd look and say, I can buy that, to himself. He's all, but he never bought anything. He just say, I can buy that. He does the greatest impressions. Can you do an impression of Sammy Davis Jr.?
Now, which Sammy Davis Jr. do you want? Do you want the preconceived idea of Sammy Davis Jr.? Because most people
Oh, yes, I want that one. I want that one.
No, I can't do myself.
I want that Sammy Davis Jr.
I can never do myself. But I love impressions. You know who taught me how to do impersonation?
No.
Dick Wesson.
Of the Wesson Brothers.
Brothers, and Larry Storch. And in those days, there was a fraternity of impressionists around. Used to hang around Hanson's.
Larry Storch had a brother who did impressions.
Yes, Jay Lawrence.
Jay Lawrence,
Who
yeah.
still does them very well, but Will Jordan and all those guys.
Who's your favorite impressionist?
A fellow by the name of Larry Blake. But I'm talking about, in the true sense of the word, impressionist.
Oh.
My favorite of all time impersonator is a boy that was in the Army whose name I can't remember. And I'll tell you the reason why he's my favorite of all times. Because he was non-professional, and he could do anybody's voice. He'd be talking to you, and then he'd do your voice back. He was literally like a human tape recorder.
What it takes to do impressions, I think, is a tremendous ear.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to find the exact pitch of the voice, the sound.
Now, you do impressions.
Yeah, I do.
Now, how many do you do?
I
Truthfully
do.
now.
I do some I'd like to forget about.
No, I'm talking about if you really had to go in your bag, man, and it's like you dig out the heavyweights.
I do about 6 or 8, probably.
All right.
That I'd care to do that I think are good enough.
Okay, let me hear one now.
F minor 7th chord.
There's no tomorrow when life is. Now, do you do any talking impressions?
No, not really.
Yeah, you did Stan Laurel for me the other day. You did that.
Oh, that was bad.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't bad.
If I told you once, I told you 1,000 times, Ali. Don't hit me.
Now, for me, my favorite guys to do, singers, I can't sing because it's too early in the morning for me to sing. But speaking.
I just injured myself permanently on that last one I did. Okay.
All right, the lot is up against the wall. Now, I don't want anybody. I mean, nobody's gonna make a move in this place till I give the okay. You got that, Buster?
We'll be right back.